Neighbors in North Portland's Kenton neighborhood say they feel like they're being held hostage on their own block by a home attracting crime and dangerous behavior.
In fact, police even say they've done some operations to try to catch criminals there. Our Elise Haas going in depth with this tonight with a look into issues in and around this very property, Elise.
Officers tell me that they're very familiar with this property, and records show that Portland police have gotten called to the house hundreds of times in the last few years for issues ranging from illegal drugs, assaults, theft, and even shootings. Carol Hendon has owned the house for decades. She died in 2020, but some of her children and grandchildren still live there. Records show half a dozen family members have lengthy criminal histories. Neighbors came to me out of desperation after the city, county, and law enforcement seemingly haven't got a handle on it. I wanted to know why and how their crimes impact the neighborhood and the city. Watch as a fight breaks out in broad daylight. Home surveillance captures a woman throwing a heavy object at a car. A man, furious, shouts and throws it back at her. Then speeds off down the street, barreling through trash cans while nearly hitting a man.
That's not unusual.
When did you notice issues at the Hendon house?
As soon as I moved in, I was working from home and I got to see a lot of suspicious characters coming in and out of the house. And then I would look on Nextdoor and I would see that some of the vehicles that I was seeing regularly were reported stolen. And at that point I started keeping a closer eye.
Neighbors like Alex Nelson and Erica Borman say they regularly witness disturbing behavior at this house on North Houghton Street.
It's taxing on our neighborhood. They have taken over the whole entire block now.
Currently, the household sprawl is capped with a trailer and RV on each side of the home. While Coin Crew's cameras were rolling, we saw several loaded down trucks without license plates coming and going. All 5 of Carol Hendon's children have a criminal record. Some were arrested for dozens of crimes. Others were arrested for well over 100 crimes. Plus a grandson arrested for 88 crimes is now in prison. Collectively, the family has been charged with more than 500 criminal acts and convicted of well over half those charges for things like illegal drugs, weapons, burglaries, theft, sexual abuse, and prostitution.
There's drug use, there's fencing of stolen items, harboring other criminals. There's been multiple accounts of assault that we've all been reported.
There was a chop shop that was being run there for quite a while that you could see lots of cars that were being taken apart and being stripped.
With burglaries and property crime on the rise throughout Portland, in February, Portland police zeroed in on a suspect, 35-year-old Travis Hendon. Investigative leads drew them to this house, where officers recovered $16,000 in stolen property, arresting Travis Hendon for burglary, felon in possession of a firearm, theft, and hit and run.
It's a nexus for a lot of problems that are all happening at once.
Some officers tell me they're on a first-name basis with the family, regularly responding to issues here.
Last year, I hosted 2 detectives that were staking out the house because they were searching for a murder suspect, which they eventually apprehended.
Nelson is referring to Portland police first spotting 21-year-old murder suspect Hunter Lewis at the Hendon's house. Lewis had escaped from jail in Minnesota last spring. According to court records, he was charged for the deadly shooting of Kawhi Snyder in Portland last summer.
I've never thought I would have such close interactions with detectives or have them on speed dial, but that's the reality of living on the street.
But it's not only impacting people who live in this neighborhood.
Do not engage with the neighbors.
A community gardener reads the warning about safety issues posted at the Kenton Community Garden.
It's just disturbing because they own the block.
Portlanders from all over who bought a precious plot of land here have now felt the negative effect of the people living next door.
The thing is you just don't know what's going to happen because these people have carte blanche. I mean, no one's going to do anything to them, it seems. I mean, they act that way, and so actually they're the ones with the safety net.
Hi, I'm witnessing a domestic dispute where the person just hit the other person in the car. I'm at 2723 North Houghton Street.
Coin 6 obtained records that show since 2019, people have called 911 to this address more than 200 times for things like assault, shots fired, vandalism, and threats. 911 calls within a 2-block radius of this property shows more than 300 calls to authorities since 2018. If you take a look at this map, you can see the density of calls to police surrounding the immediate area of North Houghton Street over the years.
My neighbor is walking around the street screaming and waving a knife around. Her name is Virginia Hendon, and she's threatening to cut tires.
Criminal operations out of homes like this, police tell me, are a cyclical suck on the city. First and foremost, impacting the neighbors nearby, but also perpetuating the fear of property crime happening to citizens at large.
It has been a safe harbor for criminals within the state and out of the state. It's been proven to us. And every officer I've spoken to is fully aware of the family, that they've been a problem for 30 plus years. And that it's concerning to me the resources that are wasted on people who have no intent of living upright, stand-up lives, living a legitimate lifestyle.
The continued crime and fear of crime takes its toll.
I've constantly been living with fear. It's changed who I am. You know, I have a trauma response to most things now. And I don't have a great idea of what's safe and what's not because I'm so used to seeing the violence on the street.
I don't feel safe having my kids in the yard by themselves because we never know who's going to be coming around the corner going up to that house. You're never in a state of total rest because you just don't know what to expect.
What do you think in our society and city, what have you, allows this to happen?
I think the lack of follow-through by the DA's department when they are arrested, because we know that they've been arrested and picked up multiple times, but they're never held. Doesn't seem like things are followed through until there's a violent incident.
I think there's been a lot of lack of interventions, generational drug use and poverty.
So I think it's just follow through with the court system and understanding that all of these little incidents equal a big thing. It's not just the one phone call. It's not just the one time that CPS is called. It's a cumulative situation of years and years of them feeling emboldened to do whatever they want and know that even if they get picked up, they're going to be back at home that same night.
What do you think officials can do to stop the proliferation of this criminal activity?
I think that they need to recognize that this is the crimes that they perpetrate are part of their livelihood. It's their job to do a lot of this stuff that affects the neighborhood, and it's an economy that they connect to all across the city. The people that come and go.
The neighbors' fear is that this lifestyle will be passed down to the next generation.
This has been going on for a really long time, as far as I know. It's a family that lives across the street from me. And when I see children over there, I can't help but think that I know what's going to happen to them in the future.
So who can intervene? Well, officials at several city bureaus tell me that they have to stay in their lane and they can't treat the problem at large. And then officers who regularly report to the House say that this is just one of a number of crime houses that they're aware of in the city. So in the past, police tell me that they would assign detectives for a week or more to build a strong case, catch the criminals, to knock down enterprises like this. But with the lack of staffing at PPB, I'm told that they don't have the resources to put officers on intensive preventative cases. So I talked to the district attorney's office about the family and associates. With their extensive criminal records, the DA's office considers the Hendons high-frequency users, and they tell me that they have two ways to deal with high-frequency users. One is to use their entire criminal record to land them longer prison sentences. The second way is to get them some more resources, to get them out of the cycle of crime. So when I asked if we could talk further in an interview regarding the issue, the DA's office said because of pending investigations associated with certain individuals you named, we're unable to accommodate your request.
The number of arrests for this family and the 911 calls is staggering. What about the family? What do they have to say about all this?
Well, that's just it. I went to the house and here's how it went. Hi there. Sorry to get your dog all worked up. It's okay. It's okay. My name is... So I introduced myself to their family and asked to get their side. I later talked to Tony Hendon and he said, it's not my job to police everybody around my neighborhood. Don't get me wrong, everyone at my house is a drug addict. I'd hate to be my neighbor. My family has lived off my mom and dad their whole life. I'm 50 years old and I've lived here since I was born. My mom passed away and everyone wants my mom's house. My family don't want to work. Social Security pays them for being crackheads. So he did go on to tell me that he wanted a probate lawyer, and that way he and his siblings could split up the house and ostensibly, get out of this kind of lifestyle. So I went out and I made phone calls. I found him a probate lawyer who would practically do this work for his family for free, but when it came down to it, he wouldn't return my phone calls or the phone calls from the probate lawyer.
Wow. And this is the thing, that's one thing that you're trying to help them with. These neighbors are pleading for help. Issue upon issue within this family, it is quite complicated. And you, I feel like, going in depth with this, just scratching the surface on all these issues that are still going to go on even tonight and tomorrow.
That's a good point. And because it's not just impacting, of course, it's very visible to the neighbors who are living there. But, one of the Hendons was arrested for 2 burglaries from a storage unit in Northwest Portland, right? So it's impacting people, outside of this immediate neighborhood too.
Well, hopefully your report shines a light on this and really pressures the DA, police, the city, and the county, if they're involved in this, to really put some pressure and solve the problem for these neighbors who put up with this for years? Years. And so that's something that I learned, that it will take all of the agencies coming together in order to, knock down each and every one of the issues.
Great report, Elise, and I know you will, of course, stay on top of this, give us updates as they come in. Thank you so much.
All right, Elise.